SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation. SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation.
Surf Excel නම් භාගයයි මාසයකට වඩා රිදි සෝතයි. Tonight, off the hook. Hopes are high for the tourism sector as the United Kingdom announces that Sri Lanka will be off the red list from Wednesday. Good signs. Physician says COVID numbers on the decline and hospitalizations have slowed down as well. Don't believe it. Experts say fake vaccine news, the cause of low 20 to 30-year-old vaccination enthusiasm in Sri Lanka.
The problem being wrong information given by social media and these young adults accepting them without any scientific basis. It is a civic responsibility to get the vaccine.
Hunting season. The Sri Lankan Navy nets another major heroin haul in international waters and nabs a Pakistani and Iranian boat crew. All this and much more coming up on this Saturday, the 18th of September 2021.
දසනකාන්තී චූර්ණය සහිත ලීවර් ආයුෂ් දන්තාලේපය දත්වල ඇති ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් වළකයි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando in your top stories for tonight. Sri Lanka, along with 7 other countries, will be removed from UK's travel red list with effect from Wednesday, the 22nd of this month. Sri Lanka has been on the red list since the 8th of June, and the decision comes as the country records a reduction in daily COVID-19 cases as well as deaths. Speaking to First at 9, Director General of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Board expressed delight over the UK decision while expressing hope that the country will soon be able to open up for tourism. Travel restrictions placed on Sri Lanka by one of its biggest tourism markets, the United Kingdom, are set to be lifted in mere days. On Wednesday, the 22nd of this month, the UK government will be taking Sri Lanka off its red list, which officials say is a sign of the improving ground situation in terms of COVID cases and deaths. The UK move follows a similar relaxation of restrictions announced by the United Arab Emirates as well. The UK government is currently in the process of reviewing its red list before it migrates to a new system of rankings. Other countries that will be removed from the list include Turkey, Pakistan, Maldives, Egypt, Oman, Bangladesh and Kenya. Under the new system, destinations will be ranked as low or high risk instead of red, amber and green. Meanwhile, in what could be an indication of a possible resurgence in British holiday travel, the UK has also come up with a plan to implement a more simplified system for air travel in light of the success of its domestic vaccine rollout. The UK so far has fully immunized 65% of its total population. As per the new plan, testing requirements for eligible fully vaccinated travellers will be reduced with no need for pre-departure COVID-19 tests when travelling into England from Monday the 4th of October. Further testing of unvaccinated passengers from non-red list countries will include pre-departure tests and PCR tests taken on the 2nd and 8th days of their stays. Speaking to First at 9 on the new development, Director General of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Board, Dhammika Vijay Singha, expressed delight that Sri Lanka is now out of UK's red list. She also revealed that this will allow the SLTDA to commence tourism promotions targeting countries willing to resume air operations in Sri Lanka.
We are very happy that UK, which is one of our biggest markets, have removed restrictions on Sri Lanka. There are several countries, several new airlines that have expressed their willingness to operate to Sri Lanka. With that now, Sri Lanka will be conducting some promotions in those countries next month, especially in France and UK. Hopefully with the new guidelines that help might issue, we will be in a better position, and with the current situation in the country, the declining of case numbers and mortality authority, I think Sri Lanka is in a better position to promote our country for tourism.
Vijay Singha also expressed hope that considering the success of Sri Lanka's own vaccination drive, restrictions will be gradually relaxed enough to pave the way to opening up the country for inbound tourism.
Health authorities have informed us that they will have a discussion with the standing committee to review the guidelines and the risk status of various other countries and the variants in those countries to decide on the opening of tourism and the relaxation of the guidelines. We are hopeful that they will go through the vaccination status in our country and relax the guidelines in the next few days.
Meanwhile, Japan has allowed re-entry to returnees from 6 countries including Sri Lanka and India, which were previously blacklisted due to the rampant spread of the Delta variant. Japan's quarantine policy also prohibited entry for vaccinated travellers of the blacklisted countries as well as those with a valid resident status in Japan. With effect from Monday the 20th of this month, the end of the entry ban for the 6 countries is part of a major revision of Japan's quarantine policy in which they introduced a 3-day mandatory stay in government-designated facilities for travellers from more than 40 countries. Travellers coming from rest of the countries and regions are still required to self-isolate after entering Japan. Health authorities once again urge people between the age of 20 and 30 to get vaccinated, stay well informed on factual information and to avoid subscribing to false information and misconceptions on vaccinations. While dispelling rumours of subfertility from vaccines, Dr. Upul Dissanayake of the Colombo National Hospital says that it remains the civic duty of all young adults to get their shots and keep their families safe.
Sri Lanka's inoculation drive, which began earlier this year with the target of vaccinating the country's estimated 11.4 million people over the age of 30, has seen much progress. According to data released by the Epidemiology Unit, 13,721,107 people have been inoculated with 1 vaccine dose. From this figure, 10,968,195 have been fully vaccinated. Apart from certain hiccups in vaccine procurements that led to delays in the vaccine program, the turnout of the masses once the vaccines were available were positive overall. However, since the government announced the expansion of the program to people aged between 20 to 30, health authorities say that a certain vaccine evasive behavior has been observed from this age group. The reason, as highlighted by experts, are misconceptions circulating on social media alleging infertility to be a side effect of getting vaccinated.
When the COVID vaccine was given to older people in Sri Lanka, we saw a big enthusiasm in getting that vaccine. And we saw a lot of queues, the people of 80s, 90s even going and getting the vaccine. But when it was offered to people, the young adults, over the age of 20, we see a lack of enthusiasm. The problem being wrong information given by the social media and these young adults accepting them without any scientific basis. Now they say there's an increased chance of being subfertile and having sexual dysfunction when they are given vaccine. These have no scientific basis at all. So what I request from the young adults is to get the vaccine without any fear. And it is your civic responsibility to the country at large and to your family as well.
Meanwhile, speaking to First at 9, State Minister Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channajay Sumana, gave his views on who might be behind the propagation of such false information.
This is basically spread by the anti-vax groups. They are all over the world. Even in Sri Lanka, there's a small proportion of people who are against the vaccination program. But I must emphasize that there are no scientific evidence to support such a claim.
The efforts of anti-vaccine groups have been seen worldwide, especially on social media platforms. Many people, however, continue to doubt the data and information presented and dispersed through credible sources of information, such as the World Health Organization during an era where information could be easily verified on the internet. Celebrities too have also publicly subscribed to such misconceptions based on alleged isolated incidents that have now proven to be false. In the meantime, Sri Lanka also received another consignment of Sinopharm vaccines earlier today. A total of 4 billion doses that touched down at the Bandaranaike International Airport today raised the overall number of Sinopharm vaccines received by the island to 26 million. According to the Chinese embassy in Colombo, this is the final batch of Sinopharm vaccine doses to be delivered to the island as per the contract signed between the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation and China.
With a visible decline in the country's COVID-19 cases and deaths, health authorities dispelled notions that this is due to a low number of PCR and antigen tests conducted in the country. Director at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, said today that such arguments lack any scientific basis to them.
It has been close to 4 months since officials at the Ministry of Education announced that schools would be closed due to the spike in daily COVID cases reported following the Singal and Tamil New Year festivities. Students once again were forced to take their educational activities online. However, last week, Minister of Health Kelly Rambukwell announced plans to reopen close to 5,000 schools with a maximum of 200 students in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As such, the Ministry of Health revealed at the time that they are prepared to issue the necessary guidelines to do so if the stakeholders in the educational sector can ensure that school environments are safe from virus transmission. Speaking to media today, consultant physician at the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Puldisa Naik, explained what measures could be taken to ensure transmission among students can be minimized.
If your classroom is open and if your classroom has no windows, it's just the low parapet walls on either side, the chances of your children getting the illness is very low because whatever the virus going into the environment is being washed off by air circulation. If your classroom has windows, open them. If there are doors, open them. When the children want to eat and drink, the children should go out into the garden for them to have the lunch break. And they should not congregate close to each other, but they should sit apart or stand apart and take their meals. So that will reduce the chances of children transmitting illness from one person to the other.
Meanwhile, there is currently a clear decline in the number of daily COVID-19 cases being reported in the country. COVID-19 infections that were once over 5,000 for 10 consecutive days have now fallen below 2,500. Yesterday, health authorities confirmed 2,078 cases of the virus across the country. As such, the director of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, said today that a similar decline in the number of COVID-infected children being admitted to the hospital has been noted.
රිජ්‍ය ආරය ළමාරෝහලේ දිනකට වාර්තා වෙන දරුවන් ප්‍රමාණය අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. සති දෙකකට පමණ පෙර අපි දැක්කා දිනකට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් රෝගී දරුවන් 25-34 ප්‍රමාණයක් වාර්තා වුණා. මුළු නේවාසික ප්‍රතිකාර ලබන රෝගීන් ප්‍රමාණය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් දිනකට අපි දැක්කා 200 ඉක්මවා හිටියා. නමුත් මේ වෙන විට නේවාසික ප්‍රතිකාර ලබන රෝගීන් ප්‍රමාණය 60කට පමණ සීමා වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම දෛනිකව පැමිණෙන රෝගීන් ප්‍රමාණය 8-10 අතර ප්‍රමාණයකට සීමා වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේක යම්කිසි ආකාරයක අපිට යන්තා දුරකට සතුටු වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
However, Dr. Vijay Surya added that it is wrong for people to cite the reason for the country's decline in cases as reduced PCR and antigen tests conducted in the country.
හැබැයි සමහර අවස්ථාවල මම දැකලා තියෙනවා සමහරක් අය මේක ඉතා වැරදි විදිහට අර්ථකථනය කරන අවස්ථාවල දැකලා තියෙනවා සමහරක් අය කියනවා PCR පරීක්ෂණ ප්‍රමාණය අඩු කිරීම නිසා තමයි රෝගී වාර්තා වීම අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා කිසිසේත් මේක කිසිම විද්‍යාත්මක පදනමක් නැති ප්‍රකාශයක්. ඒ වගේ මරණ ප්‍රමාණය අඩු වෙලා තියෙනෙත් ඒක නිසා කියලා කියනවා. නමුත් එහෙම එකක් වෙන්න බෑ කිසිම ආකාරයක මොකද රෝහලකට පැමිණෙන රෝගීන් මේ දිනවල විශේෂයෙන්ම ප්‍රධානම රෝහල් ගත්තම ඒ පැමිණෙන සෑම රෝගියෙකුටම PCR පරීක්ෂණය හෝ ඇන්ටිජන් පරීක්ෂාව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සිද්ධ කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ කරන රෝගීන්ගේ අපේ රෝහල් වල වාර්තා වලින් අපිට පේනී යනවා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම රෝගීන්ගේ අඩුවීමක් අපිට දක්නට ලැබෙනවා. කිසිම ආකාරයකට රෝහලකට නේවාසික ප්‍රතිකාර ලබා ගන්න එන රෝගියෙක්ගේ ඇන්ටිජන් පරීක්ෂාව හෝ PCR පරීක්ෂාව අපි නොකර ඉන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද එහෙම නොකර හිටියොතින් අපගේ සෞඛ්‍ය කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයටත් අනිකුත් රෝගීන්ටත් ඒක තර්ජනයක් වෙන නිසා.
The Colombo District Secretariat has set up 2 complaints hotlines for the general public to report on mobile vendors selling vegetables at unreasonably high prices at a time when prices are at low levels at economic centres. Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratna said that any infringements on the part of vendors will see their licences revoked. Complaints can now be lodged through the telephone numbers 0112 369 139 and fax number 0112 369 142. According to Yasaratna, the Consumer Affairs Authority and the Department of Measurement Units, Standards and Services have set up a special unit to detect errant vendors and reveal that already action has been taken against several vendors. In the meantime, the economic centres in Ratmalana, Narayampeta and Bokundara have initiated home delivery services as well. The public in the relevant areas can now get food items home delivered by contacting the relevant economic centres.
Big 3.
The Sri Lankan Navy has once again proven its effectiveness in deep-sea anti-drug smuggling operations by netting its third smuggling attempt by foreign fishing vessels in the past month. 1,500 kilometers of Sri Lanka's southern coast deep in international waters, the Navy's advanced offshore patrol vessel SLNS Sindhurala tracked a foreign-owned fishing boat crewed by Pakistani and Iranian nationals and seized 170 kilograms of heroin worth 1.5 billion rupees.
Just over 2 weeks ago, the Sri Lankan Navy launched a deep-sea operation that netted one of its largest hauls of heroin to date. Following a tip-off by police intelligence personnel, the Navy deployed its vessel SLNS Samudra that was tasked with tracking down and intercepting a foreign-owned fishing vessel. After having boarded the boat, naval personnel discovered a massive 330 kilograms of the highly addictive drug heroin, estimated to be worth a staggering 3 billion rupees on the streets. Naval personnel also apprehended 7 foreign crew members, but details of their exact nationalities were not confirmed at the time. Speaking afterwards, the country's Defence Secretary, retired General Kamal Gunaratne, reaffirmed the government's commitment to taking the fight against drugs out to high seas. Meanwhile, as a possible result of increased sea operations, the Sri Lankan Navy today confirmed that another foreign fishing vessel attempting to smuggle more narcotics into the country has been busted out at sea. Navy sources revealed that the interception by its advanced offshore patrol craft SLNS Sindhurala was carried out on the 10th of this month, 1,500 kilometers off the south coast of Sri Lanka. The vessel was allegedly attempting to pass itself off as a regular fishing vessel, but intelligence information provided by the Batticaloa Senior Superintendent's office, the vessel was tracked down. On board was found 170 kilograms of heroin, worth an estimated 1.5 billion rupees. The Navy also arrested 9 foreign crew on board the vessel, of which 3 are confirmed to be from Pakistan and the remaining 6 Iranians. The Sri Lankan Navy's Director General Operations Rear Admiral Prasanna Mahavitana revealed that the narcotics were intercepted before they could be transferred to Sri Lankan fishing trawlers for transport to shore.
මේ දින කිහිපයකට පෙර සිදු කරන ලද මේ අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම අද කොළඹ වරාය වෙත මේ යාත්‍රාව සමග සැකකරුවන් ගෙනාවා. අද ඔවුන්ව පොලිස් මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය නාශක කාර්යාංශයට ඉදිරි විමර්ශන කටයුතු සඳහා බාර දෙනවා. රාජ්‍ය බුද්ධිය සේවා අංශ සමග නාවික හමුදාවේ බුද්ධි අංශයේ දායකත්වයෙන් කෙරණු මෙහෙයුම් වලින් මේ වසර තුල මේ වනතෙක් හෙරොයින් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 850කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක්, අයිස් සහ හෂීස් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 220කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක්, කේරළ ගංජා කිලෝ 5500කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් නාවික හමුදා අත්අඩංගුවට ගෙන තිබෙනවා. මෙම මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය ජාරම් මෙහෙයුම් ලබන්නේ විදේශගතව සිටින ශ්‍රී ලාංකික මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය ජාවානුකරුවන් විසින් ඔවුන් විදේශීය යාත්‍රා සහ පුද්ගලයන් යොදාගෙන අරාබි මුහුද හරහා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට නිර්ත සහ දකුණු දිගට වන ගැඹුරු ජාත්‍යන්තර මුහුදු ප්‍රදේශයට මෙම මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය ප්‍රවාහනය කරනු ලබනවා. ඉන්පසුව ඔවුන්ට සහයෝගය දක්වන ඇතැම් ශ්‍රී ලාංකික බහුදින යාත්‍රා හිමිකරුවන් සහ දීවරයන් යොදාගෙන ඈත මුහුදේදී මේ මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය හුවමාරු කරගෙන සූක්ෂමව ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට ගෙනෙවනු ලබනවා.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa left for New York today to attend the 76th United Nations General Assembly. The UN General Assembly will begin on the 21st of this month, with the President due to make his first UNGA appearance the following day. During his visit, the President has also planned bilateral discussions with several of his counterparts.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa left for the United States this morning in order to attend the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly beginning on the 21st of this month. The UK General Assembly is the apex policy-making body of the UN, which addresses complex world issues as well as challenges faced by member countries. The tour will be significant for the President as he marks his first address to the UN General Assembly and his first foreign conference outside the country as well. Themed Building Resilience Through Hope to Recover from COVID-19, Rebuild Sustainability, Respond to the Needs of the Planet, Respect the Rights of People and Revitalize the United Nations, the sessions will begin with the high-level general debate, which will continue until the 27th of this month. In a 6-day-long debate, 193 member states will address the chamber, with our head of state set to make his address on the 22nd. During the visit, the president is expected to hold bilateral discussions with several heads of states on a range of topics, including the economy. The president will be accompanied by a delegation including Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peris and Foreign Secretary Admiral Professor Jayanath Kolambage. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Mahinda Samarasinghe is set to relinquish his seat in parliament. As per reports, the parliamentarian is expected to take up a new role as Sri Lanka's ambassador to the United States and Mexico following the retirement announcement by current Sri Lankan ambassador to the United States, Ravinatha Ariyasinghe. Reportedly, the MP will tender his letter of resignation following President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's return to the island from the UN General Assembly session. MP Samarasinghe has served as the first secretary to the Sri Lanka High Commission in Australia and was a councillor for the Sri Lanka Permanent Mission to the United Nations in Geneva. He has also represented the country at various organizations, including the International Labour Organization, the World Health Organization, the International Communications Union, and the World Meteorological Organizations. United National Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has called on the country's youth to become more politically active and change their futures. Speaking at a youth webinar yesterday, the former Prime Minister urged young adults to join the UNP and help build the party into a force for change.
The United National Party held an online discussion yesterday to commemorate the 115th birth anniversary of former President J.R. Jayawardena. Focusing on the country's youth segment, UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe delivered an oration on the late head of state and, using examples from his political life, urged youth voters to become more politically active in order to bring about the societal changes they need for a brighter future.
මේ රටේ දක්ෂ තරුණයෝ පිරිසක් ඉන්නවා. ඔවුන් කොහෙන්ද පටන් ගන්නෙ? ඔවුන්ට එන පාර කියලා දෙන්න.
මටත් රට යන්න තිබුණා විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට ඊට පස්සේ කාලේ. මම හිතුවා මෙහෙ ඉන්නම් කියලා. මම රට ගියා නම් හොඳ රැකියාවක් තියෙන්න තිබුණා.
The UNP leader also used the opportunity to call on the country's youth to join the United National Party in its push to rebuild itself and take advantage of opportunities to develop the nation to build themselves lucrative futures as well.
එක කණ්ඩායම් හිටියේ රට දියුණු කරන්න ඕමනයි කියලා. ඒ දියුණුවෙන් එතුමන්ටත් අවස්ථාව ලබා ගන්නට පුළුවන් වුණා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය කැප වෙලා ඉන්නේ වැඩ කටයුත්ත කරන්න. ඉතින් මෙතෙන්ට ආවහම අපි ඔයගොල්ලෝ එකතු වෙලා මේ වගකීම් බාර දෙන්න. අපි තමයි දුවලා මේ පක්ෂය සංවිධානය කරේ. ජයජාද්ද මහතුමා නෙමෙයි. හැමදාම කොහේ හරි හිටියේ. නඩු කියන්නේ නැත්නම් දේශපාලනය කර කර මේ පක්ෂය හදන එක Tamanට බාර දෙන්න අපි තීරණය කළා තියෙන්නේ. නැයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ එන්නකො හදන්න ඊට පස්සේ ඔයගා අනාගතේ හදලා Tamanට තියෙන අලුත් සමාජයක් හදන්න නේ. දෙවනි ලෝක යුද්ධය හරි මිනිස්සු සටන් කරේ ඉංගලන්තයට ආරක්ෂා කරන අනාගතයක් අරගෙන. කොහොමද ගින් ඊට පස්සේ නායකයෝ උනේ නැහැ. සමහරකින් Taman කරපු සාමාන්‍ය වැඩ කටයුතු කරා. අපිට ඕන අනාගතය ඇති කරන්න. ඒකෙන් අපි දියුණු වෙන්න දැනගන්න.
Meanwhile, after being posed the question on what Sri Lanka's chances are of reaching developed nation status anytime soon, the former Prime Minister stated that the late President Jayawardena got it right when he believed that such a change can only be effected in 20 years' time. Getting it right in just 5 years, he added, was not a very easy task.
අවුරුදු 20කින් පුළුවන්. අපි දැන් ආරම්භ කරොත් පළවෙනි අවුරුදු 5 ටිකක් අමාරුයි. ඒත් අපි විශාල පිම්මක් එතනින් ගන්නවා. මොකද අපි ඉන්නේ ලෝකේ විශාල පරිවර්තනයක්. මේ පරිවර්තන අල්ලගෙන දුවන්න. මම කියන්නේ අද අපේ තියෙන ඒක පුද්ගල ආදායම අපි අවුරුදු 8කින් දෙගුණයක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. භාග්‍යලාවට අවුරුදු 20ක් යනකොට 5 ශක්තිමත් රටක් ඇති කරගන්න. අවුරුදු 10ක් යනකොට ඒක පෙනෙනවා. ඒකයි ජයාජයන්ක අවුරුදු 20ක් විතර යන්න ඕනේ. 20ක් අවුරුදු 5න් කරන්න බෑ.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining. I'm Shanella Fernando. Have a good night.